Today on PBR Garage Files, we put ball joints into my wife's ZJ. You can see that both of them have just a little bit of play in them. Normally I'd let it go for a little bit longer, but since it's lifted and has bigger tires on it, might as well catch it now before it gets any worse. Alright, I don't know about you guys, but I play hell trying to bust these wheel bearings loose from the knuckles. So a little trick I learned from a guy at a Dodge dealership is to take and break all three of your wheel bearing bolts loose and take it, put one back in and wedge it up against something, and then start the vehicle and crank the wheel into, in this case, the right, to try and force the wheel bearing out from the knuckle. Right there is where it's starting to split. That worked out pretty well on this wheel bearing. So we're going to try it again on the other side. Hopefully we can get the front popped loose, and then it'll be a simple, tug and pull, and we'll have it off. Oh yeah, there we go. That's nice and loose. That's exactly how it's done. You don't have to take an air hammer and push it in between there and tear up your backing plate, take a chance of tearing up your wheel bearing. You don't have to smack the crap out of it. You could destroy the bearings or destroy the wheel studs. Easy way, not hard on your body. Definitely a tip that I've learned over the couple of years that I've been working on these things. That wasn't too hard. I've got both new ball joints pressed in. I've got everything all bolted back together. If you're going to do this job yourself, there's two things really that are important. Number one is always use new cotter pins. If you're not replacing a tie rod or anything like that, you always want to use new cotter pins. Don't reuse old cotter pins. The second thing is on these axle nuts, make sure to hand torque them. Do not use an impact to drive them on. On these Jeeps, this axle nut's 175 foot-pounds. All in all, this job took me roughly 2 hours. If you aren't experienced in it, if this is your first or second time changing ball joints, provided you have all the right tools, I'd say it's probably 4 to 5 hour job. It's not bad, especially in these front axles. These ball joints come out pretty easy. Last thing to remember, always hand torque your lug nuts. I've seen way too many wheels fall off of vehicles because of people not hand torquing their lug nuts or double checking the torque. So, these Jeeps, 110 foot-pounds and aluminum rims, always hand torque your lug nuts. Alright folks, that's all for this episode of the PBR Garage Files. Just did a simple ball joint, upper and lower ball joints on my wife's Jeep. Doesn't take that long. If you have any experience in front end parts, you know this job's pretty easy. You most likely have tools to do it already. If you're noticing that your tires are wearing weird or your alignment feels off on your Jeep and you might have bad upper ball joints. Real simple to check. All you do is jack up the front axle, put stands under the axle, let it down on the stands. Then you take a big pry bar and you pry up on the wheel. If you can see it have play, that's too much. They need to be replaced. This one wasn't real bad. I caught it before it got excessive. I didn't want to take the chance of tearing up my expensive tires, so I went ahead and I changed them while there was still just a little bit of play in them. It's only going to get worse, so if you notice it, change it as soon as possible. Don't need that many tools. You don't even have to have air, although it makes it a hell of a lot nicer. You just need a ball joint press. You can rent those from the parts store. They're about 75 bucks at Harbor Freight. Definitely need a big torque wrench, a big hammer, and several big sockets. 36 millimeter is the axle nut. 1 inch and 1/8 is the lower ball joint for the original one. So if you've got some basic tools, you can do this job fairly easy. If you like this video, please like it, share it, comment on it, tell me what you think. Next time we're going to be getting back to the Toyota. I've got the shock mounts made and welded to the axle. I'll show you a little bit of how I did that. I've got the truck is being torn down ready for paint. So join us then and we'll get started on that.